In this tutorial, I will show you how to create cross-stitch pattern bases in Procreate. Here I have hook number 15 from the embroidery art box imported into a square canvas. In the base brush set, I picked the line grid brush 20% scale and on a new layer, draw a grid with white color. Then clip it to the hoop, set the blending mode to overlay and lower the opacity to make the grid less distracting. Set this layer as a reference layer. It's an important one. Here I've added one of my patterns so we can recreate it as an example, and let's start with the center. Let's go to the selection menu, pick automatic mode and activate color fill. On the new layer we will start tapping with our pencil inside squares. So ensure that selection is on and start tapping. With this technique you can plan any cross-stitch patterns you have in mind without investing too much time into drawing the final artwork beforehand. Now we are continue tapping our flower, and as we are done with it, we should move it closer to the center. We'll find it by increasing the grid size to max. Then tap done. And we select the flower and move it closer to the center. We can carefully tap to move with lower increments. But at this point, our flower and the grid still are not at the center of the canvas. So we will select both layers and move everything so the center of the flower and the center of the canvas meet. Now we are done with the centers. Let's proceed with the ornament. We can now replicate the top flower and same as before, activate the selection tool and on the new layer start tapping where you want our pattern to be. If you make any mistakes at this point, don't worry, this step is a low commitment one and you can always redo any parts if you don't like them. Also, don't feel any pressure to come up with these ornaments straight ahead, so take your time. It can take time. For example, this pattern I show you, I've spent about an hour planning it, so it takes time. And just continue tapping before you're happy with the result. Now moving through the leaves, and now we move to the flower head and continue tapping. Okay, now as we are done with the top flower, let's continue with the smaller one on the right. And the process is the same. Activate selection tool and start tapping on a new layer. Again, be careful to tap inside those squares, not exactly on the grid lines. Now we're planning our cute flower head. And we're done. Now as we have two flowers ready, We can group them together and duplicate and mirror them to fill the remaining part of the pattern by carefully adjusting. Okay, seems good. No. Okay, now good. And now let's plan the final floral motifs, those little ones. And the process is similar. So on a new layer, we activate selection and start tapping. Take your time and tap. Now the flower head, and we are done. Then we can duplicate this one, mirror it and position below carefully. Okay, now we can merge those two, then duplicate again, mirror, and adjust to fill the remaining pattern. Okay, now we are done with the pattern. We can close our reference and merge all the pattern layers together. Set them to overlay, lower the opacity to make our pattern less distracting. And at this point, we are ready to move to the stitching.